Welcome, everyone,
Hey,
to another episode of the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Demon, and
Shut up,
I,
Alex.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's go, guys. Welcome to Inside Scoop, and we have our special guest hostess tonight, my friend, my teammate, Mallory Woods. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, sir. Thank you very much. You messaged me early tonight, and as soon as you told me the time, I said I'm in. I'm 100%. So thank you for having me.
No problem, man. I've been wanting to have you on anyway because we brought some up not too long ago about it being this year, the 25th anniversary of Team Elite, Team CJB, all of it, anything that was sponsored by Spencer Gregory started 25 years ago at the Diamond Nationals. So crazy. Both of us were on that team. That was really, I'd say, both of our first big team, right?
Yes. Yeah. Super. Yeah. It was a big team for me, and to take it back. It's funny because you told me the maximum amount of time, and I was like, hold on, really? It's been that long? It didn't seem to be that long, but a lot of good memories, a lot of good players here and there. Learned so much. That's why anybody I talk to, that's younger these days, I say, appreciate the time that you have right now because there's no guarantee there's going to be another tournament. There's going to be another team. So if you're rolling with a bunch of guys, ladies, teammates, appreciate the time that you have 100%.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And so I know we're going to want to talk about that. Also, guys, just again, thank you so much to Virtual Fight Tour for being our sponsor. We are sponsored by Virtual Fight Tour, and they're going to do their first not in person, but at a tournament event. They're going to be doing the finals at AmeriKick coming up August 21st. So find out how to be a part of that and support that, and maybe even go to that event or watch it online, however they're going to do. So we're going to get more details coming up. But again, man, Jesse and the team continue to get better each and every time. That's been one of my favorite things throughout the pandemic. So how about you, Mallory?
It was really good because one, no one had been through anything like this before, and we're all trying to figure out okay, how can we do something? And Jesse's that type of dude that he's going to sit and he's going to look at it and he's going to think about it and then he's going to go to action. And that's exactly what you see with the Virtual Fight Tour. Right. It's been getting better and better every single time. He's been putting on better fights. I love the matches. I love the clout that he's gotten for some fighters and everything that have come out there. We're getting a little bit extra attention. And it's also been a drive to keep people busy. We've done with SMA virtual tournaments, but there's really nothing for fighters. You need to be there to be a fighter. And so I'm glad that, that this came along so you can keep our fighters active.
Yeah, man. It's been awesome. It's been fun to watch for everybody. And one of the things too right now, again, why I'm trying to copy all this and post this in the comments right now is the kickoff of the first ever karate in the Olympics. And right now, one of the favorites from Spain, Sandra, is competing in the women's kata. So it's just outrageous right now. I have actually 3 or 4 screens going, watching different things going on. So that's what my house is like right now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I have my second monitor here and I am watching at the same time that you're doing. So, hey, this is, when you were, you were 10, 12, I'm trying to remember. Everyone always said, hey, we got to get this in the Olympics. And here it is 25 plus years later. It's finally here, so it's great to see that.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Right now what they're doing, and I posted it in there in case you want to watch it, which of course I want you guys to watch it with us, but you can get an iPad or whatever like I am. But one of the favorites, Sandra Sanchez, just did an amazing kata. And what they're doing right now is they have 2 rounds. They have like a bracket of like 5 or 6 females, and then they're going to do another bracket of 5 or 6 females. What's going to happen is they actually do 2 forms. So the first round, everyone does their form. Then the second round, everyone does their form. They take the average of those 2 scores and then move up to the next. So I think they take the top 3 from there. So, right now, Sandra is in first. The lady from USA is in third, Sakura Kokume. So, again, just the setup is awesome. One thing I wish there was fans there because I know that in Japan, that place would be packed.
This is true. This
Oh
is
man,
definitely true.
and it would be a great look for karate, because again, right now it's not projected to be in the next Olympics, but I think they're going to try for 2028, right?
There's a lot of background work I think that needs to be done, and hats off to everybody that did that very long journey.
Correct.
Probably having door after door closed in their face about trying to get something off the ground that's global. And you got it this year. There's definitely some work. Maybe they'll be able to get it in France. There's a huge martial arts are huge in France.
Oh, it is.
Maybe they can kind of backdoor get in there, but if they have to wait to 2028, that's okay. We've got a lot of smart people, a lot of dedicated people that have gotten this far. And once you get a taste of this limelight, these guys are going to want to continue this to go on. I mean, think about it. Taekwondo, if I remember right, premiere was at 92. I think it was in Seoul.
In 88.
88, sorry, 88.
And then 92. And it was still, it didn't become, we talked last week with Arlene, it didn't become an official Olympic sport till 2000. So even in 96, it wasn't in there. And then it came back in 2000. So, it took a long time. Now the way that it's done now is different than then. They had demonstration sports. So they had 88, 92. It was a demonstration sport. So it was still at the Olympics. It just didn't count towards the country's total medal count, right?
Right.
Everything else was there. They had the same media that really Taekwondo would get now. So yeah, I mean, it's just an exciting time for all of us,
I agree with you. And one of the things I wanted to chime in with, because I've got all this useless set of knowledge. Listen, there's sporting events that used to be Olympics. I just put up a small tug of war used to be an Olympic event. Not lying, not making this up. There was a standing high jump. I guess it's a number of different things. You can Google it. You could see there's tug of war. There's something called all around. I'm not even clicking on that. I don't know what it is. They've combined a number of things. Like cycling's always been there. They had different distance, like a half mile. They were like, okay, now you guys got to ride a lot further. So it's certainly this is not the absolute end. No. That if they don't make it in the next 4 years, there's a pathway to get done. And hey, and hats off to your dad. Just saw he just chimed in as well. But I like it. I've got it up in the second monitor. And of course, one of the things that's great is we all know that Ariel Torres is in
and
these
that's
Olympic
what's really
teams.
Cool for our group here is that I think he doesn't compete tomorrow, but he competes the 6th. So guys, all of us, I think, are going to be sharing the links and everything and making sure that we watch and support him. I meant to get my shirt, but I don't think it will come in time, but I'm going to go ahead and get one anyway. But they have the Ariel Torres shirts, the karate shirts. So pretty cool to just see someone that we know that competes in our world out there competing on that grand stage. So
it is pretty neat. And that guy, it's funny because I had forgotten that I did an interview with him. I think it was 2019, and we were talking about the Olympics, and he's been working towards this singular goal for this entire time. Like I asked him, I said, hey, Ariel, thank you. Just came off the mat. I just wonder how long did you train today? He's about 6 hours. I'm like, well, hold on, 6 hours. Listen, for me, I did kata and I did weapons and everything, but imagining to do in the kata 6 hours and as tense as he's training, it's like, oh man, hold on, that's a lot of time. That is a lot of time. And also guys, to stay sharp.
Yes, definitely. Hey, guys, so Alex, we didn't even explain where Alex was. Alex is on vacation this week, and his internet is a little crazy right now. So we just figured, hey, we've done that. We've let you guys experience that before with the bad internet. So
and hold on. So time out. The first question I have is, and I know Travis is listening, you guys able to get vacation? I mean, because we're gonna have to bring this up with Emily. I'm gonna send her text right away because we don't get those benefits at SMA. But one of the things I do want to mention, and I just made sure I sent her a text, we actually have a video coming up that we did about Ariel's journey to the Olympics.
Awesome.
It will be premiering let me see. I'm trying to get the actual date when it's going to premiere. I think it might actually premiere tonight or tomorrow morning. But I did the horrible job of voiceover of that. No, I did a good job of voiceover on that. So it was good to go through it and look and learn Ariel's story and actually put that out. So we'll be sharing it to you guys and asking everyone to like and share as well. So
awesome. Yeah, we had him on about 4 weeks ago, and he just was excited, man. And he just told about his whole journey from the beginning of switching karate schools to go after that Olympic dream, to his instructor saying, "Hey, there's this stuff called sport karate that you can go and actually win money, and then this will help you raise money to make it to the Olympics," which is crazy. But it's pretty awesome to hear his story and his journey. So check out SMA's thing. Go back in the archives and listen to our podcast with him. He just really broke it down on the positives that he thought from sport karate and the positives that he thought from traditional karate. So really cool stuff.
Yeah. It's that journey, if you can imagine that, because one of the things about the Olympics, depending on your make of it, do you like watching everything? But I've always enjoyed watching it. The idea that it was in Atlanta, not too long ago. It's something I'm going to try to do. I think Los Angeles has it coming up. It's something that I look at as a once in a lifetime event to go to.
To just go to, exactly.
Yeah. So let me. So if let's just say it comes to Los Angeles, you got a chance to go. What events? And let's say karate's in there. So we'll go ahead and check that one off.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and check that one off.
We'll go ahead and check that out. What events would you go and watch in the Olympics?
So I'm a big wrestling, I like amateur wrestling, not just pro wrestling, but I would try to go to see amateur wrestling. That's something I'm big into. Oh man, I think excitement wise, there's a lot of, gymnastics you got to, because it's just awesome the way it's set up. I would go for sports that I normally wouldn't be able to watch. I wouldn't go to watch basketball because I watch it all the time. I wouldn't go to watch tennis because I watch it all the time. Those type of sports, even baseball and softball, maybe softball because you don't see it at that high level, right?
Right.
Maybe something like that.
I've been for judo.
Yeah, exactly. That's another one. Yeah, judo would be amazing, right?
Table tennis. Let's use the correct term. Table tennis is, and that's something it's funny because you want to have great seats. Table tennis, it actually works better if you're far away so you can see because it's just crazy,
It is.
Let's see.
Man, that's one.
Of course, Taekwondo. I gotta see
Taekwondo.
I have often a lot. There's so many track and field events that are really cool. Like seeing the two guys that shared the gold medal. That could be a point of controversy because I actually put that on my page, and some people actually it was Danny, who we used to see at the Irish Open. So shout out to Danny.
Yeah.
He says, then why even have a medal? And it's like, I can see his point.
Yeah.
I can see his point. But on the other hand, you had two guys there that are risking, we can go ahead and have this jump off round, but one of us is going to win and one of us might lose. So they chose to share the medal.
Well, and in a sport like that, when we're talking about the Olympic champion, right?
Yes.
All right. So how much higher can they go without injuring themselves? Right. We're talking about that now. Again, years ago, that wasn't an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just went until you're injured. That's been a hot topic this whole Olympic Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Simone Biles thing and everything else, and then things coming out from the past, right? People being forced to go, and then, what was it? I saw the same post of a lady from Russia in the 80s or 70s or whatever.
Oh yes, the one that
paralyzing herself.
Yes, she had a broken leg, and it's interesting. And Elise Garrell had a very good post and saying that a lot of times, no matter what it is, basketball, football, in the Olympics, we have a lot of armchair, athletes that will sit and be like, oh man, I could have done a better job at that. And she actually said, hey, she started in track and she thought about her best time at the 400, which was, once around the track. And she said, you know what? My best time is not even the slowest the person that came in last place is still beating about 20 seconds. So for track and field, you can see like, yeah, you know what, you got a point. I wouldn't even have made that. But you have a lot of people that say, oh, I could do that. That's easy and everything. And it's interesting, especially for combat sports. A lot of times people are like, why did this guy give up? I could have done that. And listen, if you're on the chair, if you're in your lazy boy and you're talking that, you don't have a leg to stand on.
Right.
Let the athletes do what they want. They know their limits.
Yeah.
And if you can't go, you can't go. It's unfortunate. But let them have their piece at that.
And it's not the same from sport to sport either, right?
Exactly.
The difficulty and the risk factor is different. I'm a big I actually, as much as people are dogging on Novak Djokovic, I'm a big fan of his, watching him compete,
Mm-hmm.
But again, the risk factor in tennis is a different type of one than what Simone's doing, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So they're completely different. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't work as hard. He works his butt
extremely
off.
hard. Yes.
You're sitting there, playing a 5-hour game sometimes, or 4 to 5 hour game in 100-degree heat. It's just a different type of thing. You're going to get sick or ill in a different way than possibly losing your mind in the middle of a triple flip and then breaking your neck. Mm-hmm. It's a different thing. So I think, all of them are in different areas. I think the problem with this and why Simone is being looked at this way. Well, I mean, I think in the most part, she's getting a positive.
A lot of people did come out to support her. Yeah. I think there are more people supporting her than
the problem is that she only gets highlighted every 4 or 5 years.
Correct. Unless you watch,
all the other stuff.
I think it's on MSN or something like that. It's on like a Saturday, such and such gymnastics championships and everything. Right. Yeah. So
they're like, she's only won one Olympics. But they don't realize she's been the best in the world. She's been a world champion every year. Right?
Many times over.
So it's different. And I think that's one of the negatives of the Olympic sport is that if you don't win more than one, then you're like, and really in gymnastics, it's rare to even go to 2.
Right. Because the competitors and the athletes are starting so much younger. And you think about the wear and tear on their body. Now, one of the things I was actually discussing with someone, so I did gymnastics my last semester of high school, last 2 semesters of high school, right? So I had a bunch of people that were out there in the gymnastics team, and I learned how to flip and do backflips and everything. I was like, this is cool. So I remember going to class, and I said, all right, so what does our instructor teach us? And they looked at me like, she goes in her office. We are teaching all of each other. Like, if you need to learn how to get up on the rings, you go see that guy. If you want to learn the pommel horse, you go see this guy, right? So I was like, okay, so we're all teaching each other. So it came to be, there was one day I was trying to learn how to do a twist. So I had multiple backflips going around and everything. And they said, okay, you jump up, you blast off, you turn, you twist. And I said, okay, all right, let me try this. And I came crashing down, bam, landed off the mat, on, on my side. Man, it really hurt. And I was like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, the idea of that space rotation and also twisting. So I tried it again. Same results. And I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not risking this to completely go that. And that's just one rotation, half a twist. So you're talking about somebody that's flipping 2 times in the air and they're trying to do a complete double twist. There's so much rotation going on. And if you lose your spot in space and time, it's going to end badly.
Right. It is. Man, yeah. I mean, there's so many things on that. So I think everyone just needs to dig a little deeper, look into the sport, step back a little bit and realize, like we're talking about the best, and just an Olympic competitor is on a whole nother level, and that's something that we've talked about. Both times that Arlene was on our show, it's just to be an Olympic athlete it's just a whole nother level,
right.
Because again, you're going after something that is every 4 years. So you got to be serious, right?
I think that where most people can kind of relate to this. So let's say, for example, you're training for, let's just say, Battle of Atlanta. Okay. Whether you've been to a national tournament or not, and you've got in your mind, okay, I need to step up my training. So let's just say maybe you've been just training in your garage or in your own dojo, and all of a sudden you start to expand and say, Hey, I'm going to go run down to Atlanta with, I heard this guy like Kevin Walker's down there. Let me go see what these guys. And the first time you experience something like that, where you're like, wow, these guys are levels above what I'm doing, you start to realize where you're coming in at. And it's like, okay, this is going to require a lot of work to get just to this level. And then there is a tournament level after that, where guys are saying, we're bringing our best. So you get to understand that, wow, okay, I really need to step it up some, or you're either gonna shrink back and say, oh, well, I'm good with just doing this. So, but like you said, an Olympic level athlete, that's levels upon levels. And because it's such a short window, like right now, there are people training right now for the next Olympics, for the qualification of it.
Correct.
So you're really on a 4-year program. And one of the things you had mentioned, wrestling, actually, depending on when you come out of college, you may miss the Olympics because you came out at a wrong time where you could not qualify for the team. And then after that, the time has passed you. It's just,
Well, and also, too, the way that you do wrestling in college is different than Olympic style wrestling. So you got to give yourself, either you need some time to train for that, or you should be doing that in the off season.
Correct.
Or you should have been doing that in high school in the off season. Like it's just crazy how some of that even works, because in college and high school wrestling, it's folk style wrestling. It's not freestyle or Greco-Roman. You actually need to be doing that to get a scholarship and then win a national championship. But then you actually on the side should be going to AAU tournaments or whatever that do those things. So, I mean, it's not as black and white like people think. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's nuts. Right now, the girl from Italy is doing a beautiful kata. I mean, even the person who's in last place to me in this is looking outstanding, in this whole group of a female kata. So it's awesome just to see this. I think, the more we share this and put that out there, we and share those stories, maybe that'll help. The more exposure that'll help get us in there again. And again, I mean, we're looking at WACO being, an official sport now. That doesn't mean they're in the Olympics. That just means they're recognized.
That's correct.
They're on that path. It'll take more years, but what do you think? Because again, WACO has a lot of different events, right? Which ones do you think would be more likely to be in the Olympics? Because again, we've seen it before where we're not taking everything, but we'll take these two.
We'll take some things. Well, so if they went with that, so kind of thinking about that, I do think that there's a good argument for point sparring. However, some people may say, well, this is a little bit too similar to Taekwondo. You guys are punching and there's a little bit more athleticism and everything. I think it's from what I've seen and being a little biased, I think that it's a little bit more exciting than the Olympic style Taekwondo and maybe a little bit easier to follow than Taekwondo in terms of points and systems and everything else. But you also have
seeing what's going to happen with Kumite here as well.
Right. That's what I'm really curious.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you don't want to have too much of the same stuff that looks like, everything, it's too similar. So they, you got low kick, you've got kickboxing, which seems like it's a shoe-in, should be a nice shoe-in. Someone even mentioned bringing in Muay Thai, which is a whole separate argument, but still, it's a different sport in itself because of the rule set.
Right.
It's one of those that you really need a good campaign. You really need some stars to shine. You need to show the excitement of the sport and say, hey, people they're going to want to see this. And you have an established system set up already nationally. You've got United States members of WACO. You've got everybody in Europe that you can pull and pull from. So it's I think it's fairly representative for the countries that are out there. So I really think that you could easily fill an Olympic category with what we already have now.
Yeah, I mean, I think point sparring would be great because it is different than, say if Kumite comes in, it's still different presentation, right? Because it still is a point. The way Kumite is a point system. So Taekwondo is a continuous. Maybe, their light contact, which we would call continuous fighting, would be a good one to put in there, right? Or even their, I want to say kick light, but I don't know what the exact term is.
He's a low kick.
It's either low kick but see, there's low kick that's full contact.
Yeah,
and then there's the tatami, which is like kick light or
Mm-hmm.
semi-contact, something like that, right? Or something like that. And that is pretty much continuous fighting, but with kicks above the knee,
right?
To the So that's a fun one, and it's different too. So any of those, I think, have a good possibility. I do think the musical forms and weapons is something that stands out even amongst, the kata right now. It's a different way to look at it. There's no kata or forms or pumse in Taekwondo. So I think, if something happens, I think that's where they need to steer the direction. The only other one that would be an argument against that is because Wushu is also recognized in the IOC, right?
Correct.
And soft style forms, I got Jared told me last week, is no longer in Wako. There's no longer soft style forms in Wako. So because that Wushu is also recognized as well, so they can't kind of battle against each other.
Yeah, I can see that point. It's I could definitely agree with you, especially for your open forms and creative and musical. It adds a little bit more flair. It would be almost akin to there is our gymnastics floor routine, and then there's rhythmic gymnastics.
Yes,
kind of the same thing, but it's different. So
correct.
I am hoping definitely. You know what I always thought would be another sport that would make it, but I don't know what the push is to get this there is jiu-jitsu, because you have so many jiu-jitsu tournaments open out there that a lot of people are doing, and it's timed. It's a point system on there, and just like they have open world tournaments, that seems like almost a shoe-in for your other categories, and it's worldwide.
I think they get a lot of push from judo.
Yeah, which where it has roots in. So it's like okay.
Yeah, exactly. The Japanese female, Riko, just went, man. She just killed it. She's known as one of the best in the world.
I've definitely seen her before.
Yes. And so interesting to see how this goes. I think I didn't see the final projections from that first round. This is the second group, I believe. But yeah, so I think they're going to, so here we go. This is Pool B. So Japan is in first. So there's 5 through there. So I think they went through both rounds so far. Pool A is Sandra from Spain, the lady from Hong Kong, and then the USA are the top 3. And then the next group is there. So, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So thank you guys for checking in, talking to us. Lots of great things. Thank you for watching, Allison, and Sam Lang's watching as well. Thank you guys. So we're going in the second kata of their pools. So of this opening, what they call elimination round. So the lady from Germany, I believe. Yeah. So
I think that's first. German Chris. Yes.
Yeah. So she went first. And then if you see in the first one, she wore a red belt, and this one she wore a blue belt. So to signify their second one, they wear a different one. It used to be, and I guess as we move on, I think in the finals there will be where it's head to head, and whoever's wearing the red belt gets a red flag. Whoever gets the blue belt gets a blue flag.
Right.
And then they vote that way. What's up, Jesse?
What's up, Jesse? There's somebody, especially right over her left shoulder, if the camera pans out, wearing a Team USA T-shirt. It's gray. I could see it from. I was trying to look to see who that was. Let me see if they zoom out. I do love the way they're covering this with the camera angles. Okay, this is a wide shot, so we won't see him. To shine in what while she's doing a kata, what Allison mentioned. I agree. I think that this does, in terms of the mental aspect of the sport. Now, like for example, you got a lot of camps. People are saying, well, if she would have known that, talking about Simone Biles, let's retract back there.
Yeah, let's go back.
If she would have known she was feeling this way before coming in, then she shouldn't have gone. But also people saying that, hey, we're highlighting the mental aspect of the sport. And I do believe that there is an important part of it, especially the type of what we mentioned before, the type of exercises that she's doing. And, it's important. And there have been some people, like I've seen some other people post it, like, oh, if all of a sudden Tom Brady goes and says, "Hey guys, I'm not really feeling so great today. I'm down in the press." People would laugh and say, "No, you got to get out there." But that's nothing to really laugh at. You can't diminish what someone is going through mentally.
Right.
And it's not, I don't know, how depressed or what your mental state is, just like you don't know you have to tell me.
Right.
So I think it's an important light to shine on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, I think the more we ask questions, get answers, and the more things come out, you know what, that's fine. I know that the thing is, of course, someone could have took her spot and been there or whatever. I know that this year it was a lot different though, because the two ladies that won medals in individual competition weren't on the team competition, and that was still kind of different from in the past. I know it continues to change. How it used to be like 4 or 5 were allowed as far as that goes, and then now it's only 3.
Right.
So it's completely different. But again, like this, still the U.S. team made history where every single competitor that went there won a medal.
Right.
Which is crazy, like which is outrageous. And again, Simone Biles won her bronze medal in the beam, and so she tied Shannon Miller for having the most medals, Olympic medals, which Shannon Miller's back from like 92, 96.
Yeah, that's such a long time ago. By the way, have you ever stood on a balance beam before? Have you ever gone to a gymnastics?
Yes.
Sometimes I do practice ones that are 4 inches from the. So I don't understand how these ladies. They used to have one when I was doing it. It's only 4 inches from the ground, so if you fall, hopefully you don't twist your ankle or something. But it's fine. But still, the idea of thinking about doing a handspring or back tuck or these wolf
that is insane.
It's like, okay, all right. First of all, this is absolutely crazy. If you could get up and walk across it without falling over, that's one thing. Now imagine flipping and inverting and doing all this other stuff on it.
Right. So I have one in my school, and we do a lot of kicking drills on it, which are very tough to do. And me even demonstrating the skill, I messed up. And so the kids are like, "Oh, you can't even do it." So I'm like, no, just wait and watch. Okay?
Your time will come. Don't worry.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, okay, this is really hard." So even just doing front kicks across it on the small one, but it's, like you said, 4 inches from the ground is difficult. So imagine doing all the stuff they do. I mean, it's crazy. I use a lot of things that are outside of karate for my training, and balance beam is one of them. We even had bars and stuff in our school for a while and doing things like that. So the level of training that gymnastics does, it does relate a lot to karate, which of course informs, we know that. But even just in physical fitness, you look at someone like George St. Pierre. He was training as a gymnast.
Yes.
And for a while, in his last few years, as a mixed martial artist. And that's what he said, dude, this is like one of the best all around, best shape I've been in my life.
And one of the things that most people don't know about, so if there's something GSP can't do, he's going to work at it until he can do it.
Exactly.
He's just going to be like, I want to do this over and over and over. He's a perfectionist that everyone should admire in terms of like, he wants to outwork you, then he wants to get good at it, you know? So you can only admire that, a guy with a mindset like that is always going to be tough to compete against,
Exactly. So we have our USA competitor coming on right now. She's going to do Papurin. So we've seen what's cool about this is that over this past 4 to 10 years, we've seen a lot of these forms come into sport karate when before we didn't really see that, right? So that's been a big change. A lot of great competitors like Drew Brisby, but Jared Liker as well, who I know he was wanting to be on the show this week to do a little preview, but he didn't want to miss this as well. So
this is must-see TV.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be possibly coming next week to just explain this and what we saw and what the future of it, and also Waco USA as well. So going to be exciting to have him on soon. All right, let's get into, while we watch this as well, but let's get into like what we kicked off the show about 25 years of Team Elite.
Yes.
All right, let's both of us have a very like people don't understand how close you and I were. Spencer's a classmate, a teammate, one of your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer became like an uncle to me,
Mm-hmm.
and we were two of the longest competitors there, but we also were very inside of the formula of how it works, right? We weren't just team members.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my mom became the manager. You were a manager at one time.
Yeah, and I was so glad when your mom started doing it because it was rough. I'm telling you.
You took over the social. Well, all right, there wasn't social media.
It was the internet part. There was no social media.
Yeah, website type thing, and and I even took a leadership as far as junior team. What was it called, captain, I guess.
Right.
And I just being involved with that, with those guys, and just knowing Coach and knowing Spencer, like I knew the inner workings of things, and same thing. All of us knew, and some people, I don't. I just it wasn't just a sponsorship, right?
Right. It was really, Chad, that's right. The newsletter.
That's right.
That was. I remember printing that up at my job at the FCC, like standing beside the color printer, just like because nobody had a color printer then. I'm like, trying to use this government resource real quick, print it out, and then I used to print it out and then mail it to everybody because not everybody had email. So this is how far back we're taking this.
It's crazy
for me. Like, let me see. To pull the curtain back a little bit, we were at the Bluegrass Nationals, and Spencer and I we were not in the tournament hotel. We couldn't get rooms, so we were at some offsite hotel. Yeah. And word had just come down that Metro had disbanded, and there were a lot of Metro players there. Yeah. Anthony Price, Donald Ronald Brady, and et cetera, et cetera. So we competed, and surprise, surprise, a lot of times you would be able to compete and you would be done by like 2 or 3 o'clock, and you get to go eat, take a nap, and then go to the nighttime finals, which were usually at 7. So there was some time off. Don't ask me how, but it used to happen that way.
Yeah.
And we had just eaten, we went back to the hotel room, going to take that nap. And Spencer was writing something on a napkin, and I said, "Hey, what are you writing now?" He says, "I think I can sponsor 10 people." Yeah. I said, "For what?" He said, "For a karate team." I said, "Oh, really? What? You really want to do this?" He says, "Yeah." He says, I want Doug Bertrand. First, and he said, "I want Jeff." And then he named down some other names. Yeah. And he says, "I think I can actually do this. So let's see if we can put this together." And the name of it is going to be called Team Solutions.
Yeah.
That was the original name.
Yeah.
It's going to be Team Solutions. Right. And it was like, that doesn't feel right. And then I don't remember how we actually came with the name Elite, but we put this all together and we kind of kept it quiet. Yeah. And also there's no social media. So no one's, sending the picture like, "Hey, I got my uniform. I've got our red and white candy cane uniforms for Team Elite, sponsored by CJB Therapy Centers."
It was all secret. Yeah.
And we come out at the Diamond Nationals and we enter 3 team fights, 3 teams,
3 different teams. I think really we had I think it was probably close to 20 members.
Yes.
When we did it. So
that didn't stay for long. It doubled easily.
No. Oh yeah. And it, so for me, that was the first I heard of it, was either at Bluegrass or whatever, either I guess after that would have been US Open or DC.
Right.
And so I've known Spencer and Gerald and y'all's group since about, I guess, 94, because really we started 94 Texas Challenge was one where I think that was Spencer's first grand championship.
Yeah, you're right.
And so we knew each other. We were on the same plane and stuff. And he just really liked me and my attitude and stuff.
And just to preface, how old were you at this time?
In 96, I was 12. Yeah. So
just to put a date on it.
2 years before that, when I met him, I was 10, and this was my first year as well, making it to stage and doing stuff like that. So seeing that and just hearing that and him being like, "I want you on because I like your attitude." I'm like, whoa, I'm just trying to make my name, like I won my division in NASCA, but I wasn't there yet to be the top one, but I was on the way, and he just really liked, my attitude and stuff. And then it was that I had heard that the Bradys were going to be on there. You, Gerald, Anthony Price. Really, it was around that. And then I know he wanted Doug and I think Joe as well, right? Joe Alexander. So that was around that range. And then by New York time, when the Empire State, that team kind of increased and doubled.
It doubled in size.
Yeah. So when we go to Diamonds, we had like 20 people. Our first coach, which people still forget, was Richard Plowden.
Right.
And man, that was a fun time. And I just remember for me, that was the first time that someone else just stepped up and stood behind me and fighting. And he knew that I was a forms guy, but I fought every tournament. I just always did. I was going to. And he stood up there and I'll never, forget that. And so we always talk about that,
and just, you really felt that team bond. And you're taking a number of different people from around the country. Let's see.
Different areas.
Like, let's just put some. So Doug is from Washington State.
Yeah.
Joe was from Alabama. You're from Central Virginia.
I'm like, again, I'm not the same area. We're both in the same state. He's in the city area, like close to DC. I live in the boonies. All right. I live in the country.
You're closer to Tennessee than you are to Washington, DC.
Yeah. That's right. Closer. I'm an hour from North Carolina and 2 hours from Tennessee. So
you got Gerald and Jeff Tufts, also Baltimore. I was still in Maryland at the time. I hadn't moved to Virginia yet. And then the New York guys, Jesse, Jotty, Akin, Hector, Jennifer,
Peter Londe.
Yeah. So all this group of New York guys.
We had Krista Shearer, Krista Kersey from Canada. We had the Prices from
Mike Novell.
Yep.
Who I think, if I remember right, Mike was still in the DC area. He hadn't moved to St. Louis yet.
No. He was in DC.
Still in DC area. Let's see.
There was a guy named Roy, which I always forget, which is funny for me to forget, but he was a senior fighter. I think he was from the DC or Maryland.
That's
Delaware.
Right. Either Baltimore or Delaware, one of the two. You're right.
Roy something. I don't know why I can't remember his name.
Right. Man, you're right. That's a man. I mean, like, all these memories are coming back. But I remember walking out to the Diamonds, and so the Friday night team fights used to be pretty big. They'd be like 5, 6, 7 teams, sometimes up to 10 teams. It was the highlight of the Friday evening competition. There weren't as many divisions, so you didn't have to run off as many kata divisions on Friday.
All they did
was team fighting.
All there was team fighting and team forms, and team forms were still in its infancy at that time.
Correct.
So it was just, they did team forms as a big thing on stage, and then they did team fighting. The only other thing they had on Friday for competition was the NK National Karate Inter-School Tournament.
Yes,
and that was it. So I mean, it was like a night show.
It was definitely a night show. And to change even things more, that time it was like, okay, 3 black belt man team. You have to have a lightweight, a middleweight, and a heavyweight. You have one of the persons will have to slot, but it was not send out. It was like, you fight the lightweight fights the lightweight, the whoever's designated. Now there were a couple times we switched things up and we put a lightweight in the heavyweight spot, and but you had to fight that weight. There was no put it out and choose it. That was different. So it was like, okay, great. And to take it back even further, the biggest team that was out there was John Paul Mitchell. Yeah. So JPM was always around, and they were running with the squad of Pedro, K.
Yeah, K. That's right. I thought Brian Ruth was on, because 96 he was.
Brian Ruth had. I don't think. Oh, you know what? No.
Because he came on in 95.
Right. He might have been around that time of. It was.
It might have been one of his terms that he stepped away. Who knows? But But I know it was Pedro. I think Reggie was on there at that time.
Yep, Reggie was on that. Correct.
Yep. And then Mike P was on there.
Mike Palmer, right. Because I remember, because every team fight, I knew that eventually we're going to face JPM, and I knew I had to deal with Pedro. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be the first fight. Let me go out here and let me deal with, if you guys, like the younger guys that are watching, either watching now, listening, and watching, go Google Pedro Xavier and just see, like, just he looked like, if you go back to the way I describe it, if you look at E Honda on Street Fighter when he's he's in there, but that was his leg.
That's a great. Oh my God, that's a great.
And here I am, just coming to black belt. Remember, no junior experience for me. Right. There was no. Right. I came in as an adult, and I'm fighting, and I'm dealing with these legs, and I'm like, okay, how do I get past all this?
Right. Man, that's a good point, Mallory, because that's something that we don't see much of, is like adult underbelts. Go into the adult black belt, right? Mm-hmm. And honestly, since you and Spencer, because both of you guys were ones that did that, I don't remember one until recently with Chris. Chris from K-Top.
Willie, yes.
Yeah, from
Hey,
Willie
I will give you
School,
one other. Reggie was all because Reggie and I were brown belts together, and Reggie was in the heavyweight, and I was lightweight, but like Spencer was as well.
Yeah.
But Reggie was the same one, same
All
way
right.
too, because I would see him, we dap it up, boom, he come and do this thing, I do lightweight thing. But it's you're right, you don't see that, and I remember like Jesse, aforementioned Jesse, like, hey, do you remember I don't have this. He was like, well, I've been fighting since I was like 8 or 9. I'm like, I'm trying to get information, trying to get, experience and everything. Like Jesse told me that he used to fight John Valero all the time. Or if you want a hilarious story, listen to, I think it was Jesse and Didi about Didi Batista, who's also on JPM, about a bike that they fought over at a tournament. and if I remember, and Jess, you might have to help chime me in.
Yeah,
I think Didi got the bike at the tournament, and that's like I was mad about that for a while. It's just extremely that stuff you carry over tournaments. You lose something like a bike, maybe a hoverboard now or Nintendo Switch. You carry that with you to the next tournament. So when you see that guy again, you might have to get a little payback.
So not last week, but the week before, we went to one of our first back to, live tournaments in Virginia. And I mean, the last time I went there 2 years ago, there was about 200, 250 competitors. This week there was 400. It was packed. Okay. And we had the guy all right. So when I was 18, I won a motorcycle at a tournament. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this on the show, and I did 27 events. 27 events. I competed that many times during this event, right?
That sounds about right.
Right. To get it, I had to win, the overall and then win the most points. The guy that he was a senior competitor, and he was trying to win. He's like, I can do more events than Jeff. I can do this. I can win it. He ended up winning the overall men's fighting grand as like a 50-year-old, beating all the young guys and everything. But he never competed again. And so he was there at the tournament, and he was just like, that was the thing he said. He's like, I'm still mad at you because you beat me for that bike. I'm like, dude,
hey,
like
listen,
some years ago. But
you see that, you can read Jesse's comments. He said it came down to sudden death. And I'm telling you, so one of the things also to take it back even to that era of fighting, there were a lot of rivalries. And for example, I remember talking to Johnny about this. I was like, hey, don't you train? You guys are all in New York. Let's see. That was at the Ocean State National Juniors. We got bikes for grand. Didi won, and overtime ended up getting the bike. And the bike got stolen.
Oh my God.
That's it. That's an even funnier into that.
That is.
But I was talking to Johnny. I was like, hey, New Yorkers, you guys get together to train all the time. And Johnny was like, yeah, New Yorkers don't train together. There may be some guys that you're cool with and you go with and everything. I was like, really? You guys seem like you got this big city, but it wasn't like that. But there was a big rivalry between New York and Boston.
Yes.
There was one tournament I was at, and I think it was another Ocean State story, where I'm trying to remember, somebody got their nose broken. And I'm trying to remember Diego. Okay, Diego, and I can't remember Diego's last name. Yes, Diego Lopez on Metro. And it was Johnny Guante. I think if I remember right, Didi's nose got broken.
Okay.
And I remember Akin was kind of standing in the middle, and I had just lost, right? So Didi couldn't continue. And as Jesse said, we hated Boston. Didi could not continue. And Diego got disqualified. And I was like, so that means we don't have a lightweight fighter in tonight because there's nobody? I'm like, do you want to send me up there? And as I was asking, I think Larry Conahan this, Diego was kind of eyeing Didi as he's got his nose broken and everything. And Johnny Guante, if I remember right, didn't like that, who was also from Didi's school. And they just started swinging on each other. And Akin was in the middle of this, and he's trying to separate this. There was a chair that got knocked out. And these are two guys, I mean, they are hard-hitting, hard-kicking individuals. And he just somehow got caught in the middle of it. I think he was trying to, make peace with these two dudes. But this happened a lot. There used to be bounties.
Yeah, local tournaments. that was one thing that first year that we were there, we actually had a set fight with JPM.
Yes.
At Kevin Thompson's tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time we actually beat JPM. We actually beat him at Kevin Thompson's tournament. I believe it was Hector, Jesse, and Jotty.
Yeah,
I think that was the team. And they beat him.
Because Jotty fought Pedro, if I remember right. Jotty fought Pedro at that last one. Tournament, like Sam says, tournament brawls. Let me go to a quick story. This actually has to deal with BP. So,
this is one of the best. If you guys haven't, go again, look on ours. We have, I think, episode 2 or episode 3 of our show is brawls. Okay. And we talk a lot about all of these. This is good stuff. Go ahead. This is the classic one.
So to pull the curtain back even further, if I remember right, we had asked BP, they sent a uniform to BP. They wanted
SES just ended.
Yeah.
Right.
Another great team.
Right before Vegas. Right before Vegas. A great team. And we were all close with Brian. We wanted him on the team. We asked him to be on CJB. Mm-hmm. At the same time, of course, John Paul Mitchell did as well. We actually had the ticket for him to go on the cruise with us.
Yes.
He had
which is a whole nother show.
Which is a whole nother show. But to train in Miami and then go to the cruise and everything, we sent him a uniform, everything. Mm-hmm. And, he decided to go to JPM.
So we weren't mad at him because of that. It's like, hey, if you think that's the best offer, okay, that's cool. But so we're cool with BP. Brian Plimple, if you guys don't know who BP is. Yes. So BP's from South Carolina. We go to Kentucky, and I
don't think he's technically on JPM yet. I don't think.
No, I don't think he was.
No.
But still, we know him and everything. And the tournament was kind of winding down. Guys are catching up. Hey, how'd you do? Yeah, I'm in the finals tonight. Oh, great shot. How'd you do? So it's getting down to the last couple divisions of the event. Heavyweight was left. BP's in heavyweight, and he was fighting a guy from Kentucky. And if anybody from Kentucky is listening, there was a school called Magic Hands. Yep. They had a black gi, and there was a dude doing like this, and the hand was white on the back. I'll never forget this. Right. So at that time, everybody's done. So everybody's team is kind of crowding. You've seen this in tournaments. Everybody's kind of behind line crowding. And we see and we hear like, who's over there fighting? BP fighting some big dude. So we kind of wander on over, right? And BP's fighting this dude, and then we check the score, and they were like, it's tied up. And we're looking at the clock, and it's like, 3 seconds left. So BP was saying, hey, something happened, blah, 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 blah. And they said, okay, put 2 seconds back on the clock. All right, so they put 2 seconds back on the clock. So with 5 seconds left, you probably want to move around because it's not enough time to walk right out of the ring. Plus the fact you run the risk of the head judge saying you turned your back, that's automatic point, depending on who's your head judge.
I believe my mom was scorekeeping as well.
Okay. So she's got a front row seat to this.
Right.
So once again, you got your war lines draw. All you see are black uniforms over there with this magic hand stool. And BP's by himself. There's no JPM. There's nobody. But we're kind of hanging over there with him, right? Like, okay, we know you. Cool. And it started getting heated. So everybody's kind of taking off their gear, just trying to see what's going to happen. They say, go. The guy literally turns his shoulder and take 2 steps out of the ring. Now, if you're up on your NASCAR rules, he was out of the ring. BP scored, drug his foot, just like an old college football rule. He's in the ring. He scored, but the guy grabbed BP, boom, dumps him on the ground. Now, what I remember at this point was there a couple guys over there with nunchucks, right?
Yes.
And they started jumping. And so we're like,
swinging nunchucks on BP. Oh, my God.
We've run across the ring, and Gerald was getting ready for the grands. BP's laying down on the ground now, getting assaulted. We run over there, and I remember like grabbing dudes, and I was like, "These guys are little." Now I'm you got myself, but I'm like, guys, like buck, maybe 90 pounds.
I remember Chris Rodriguez had someone over his head.
So Gerald noticed that one of the guys had picked up a chair and was getting ready to like throw it down on BP. And Gerald's still warming up, and he just like nudged this guy, just like bumped him right out of the way, chair and everything goes flying. But we were like, look, you may not be on our team, but we're going to go and help you out because we don't know those guys. We know you. And unfortunately, what actually happened is he caught a shot with one of those chucks. I remember he had his eye was completely
it was bad for a while for like, I remember he had that scar for a few months.
Yeah.
And see, like, BP was close to a lot of us too, and for me, like BP and I were like best friends. We're from the same kind of, Virginia, South Carolina. We went to all the same tournaments and everything. So yeah, I mean, if anyone was mad about BP not joining CJB, it was really me. but yeah,
but still, it's like, hey, whatever, we're gonna come help you.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that was the way it is. And so funny. All right, so I'm 17, I guess, and so myself, Nate Windsor, and Jerry, both those guys are BP students. We're sitting there, we're young, and we're seeing all this, and we're on the outside of it, and we're watching BP. And then I remember this didn't just stay in there; it went all over the place, and so it even got to us, and we're like, "Whoa, what do we do?"
It's like this giant snowball.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
You know what? If you guys go back and watch the old Looney Tunes fights when guys, there's this big puff of smoke and there's a fist here and there's a foot coming out here and it's rolling. That's exactly what happened.
It was nuts. And then there's another element of this is that my dad is there, and in his mind, my mom's in the middle of this getting crazy. So he just starts throwing chairs and moving people out of the way to get to her. So that's the way my dad is, just, whatever. So, and I remember like Nate and I, like there were people pushing like people from his school and like, and just one of I think one of his older students or whatever just punched the guy to get him out of the way. And the guy looked at him and he was like, all right, I'm done. Like funny little side stories like this. It was just crazy. Yeah. Now here's another thing. I ran into that school again.
Oh.
In Wisconsin at Infinity Nationals, the first year they had it, and let's just say they were kind of a problem. But so
if you're ever in Kentucky,
yeah. So it was just weird because they had moved. I guess they had moved from there or whatever, right? And then back, and so it was just interesting how like, wait a minute, this is that guy from that weekend. Okay, so yeah, just a crazy event. I mean, this story just keeps going on and on. And I mean, to me, because I just remember there wasn't much left at the tournament.
Right. We were, people cleaned it up
out over 2 or 3 rings after a while. So, and I think both of them ended up being disqualified, right?
I think that's what the eventual thing. So if I remember right, Gerald, who was waiting to fight the winner of that fight, went to the stage because there was nobody else.
Yeah, and that was 2001.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because these things sometimes happen. The Shaw Austin and Joey Rivera.
Yes.
Oh, Mighty Joe, man. Those cats used to go anytime. It would be to describe to you exactly what it was like, that scene in The Matrix. Neo and Morpheus are fighting. Everybody just drops what they're doing and going. When Shaw and Joey fought, everyone came to the ring because it was always going to be extracurricular activities.
Right.
Depending on what happened, there may be a bigger brawl between Metro and Force One. Which
correct.
Which went along. That happened at Empire. That happened at Caps.
Yeah, Prestige and Metro, Prestige and JPM. I mean, it almost happened DKT and Prestige when they split up and everyone thought that was going to happen.
That's right. And once again, you see the problem. It was JPM. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really kidding. I'm just kidding. Please. No, but
and again, we're talking about this as again, this is an issue we have at tournaments. Happened over the weekend, and it's usually not a problem when it's settled just between the competitors, right?
Right.
It's when outside people come in, either teammates or parents or whoever,
or coaches or anybody.
Yeah, and sometimes it may not be that person's coming in to fight that person, but they're just trying to stop it, and it gets misunderstood. So that's something that I think we all have to figure out, and that's one thing that I like about Virtual Fight Tour. It's in a cage. You don't see as much, We've only seen the only time we've seen crazy stuff happen in a cage is when people is during interview time and their entourages come in, right?
Oh, Jess is asking what happened.
At the tournament, at Osborne's tournament over the weekend. Again, Osborne had a great event. See, again, I hate because again, it sounds like something bad happened, at the tournament, just like when it happened in my tournament, right? Our tournament was a great event, but it happens.
Right.
No, there was just some in team fighting where some late hits happened and then people came in and I think some parents came in and then the parent ended up getting like stepped on or something like that.
Ugh.
So it ended up getting kind of bad and just heated over the weekend.
Right.
So I think center referees have to step up more on this kind of stuff. I think there's not just maybe talking, I don't know if it helps, but I think letting everyone know before the division, how firm you're gonna be.
You come in this ring, boom, I'm just start giving points away.
Yep.
You
And
do
some
it
people
twice,
don't
you're
like the
disqualified.
whole like automatic penalty. I do.
Right. Because there's no like well, they got away with it. Why can't we get away? Because you have to escalate. If you go in knowing that if you have an infraction, you have a foul, there's going to be an immediate penalty. It's going to cost your team, your fighter, a point, which can be critical.
Right.
And have no nonsense,
Right. And some people say, well, that could have been just a mistake that I did. Well, okay, but at the same time, it's still a mistake. Like, I mean, if you're running, you accidentally went offsides, you don't get a warning.
No,
you still get a penalty.
You're like, okay, I won't do it next time. Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, well, hey, you've got that warning. Well, no, you penalize right away, so therefore there's no nonsense, and you keep it in a professional running manner. This
is something that I never see called, and I finally saw it called. I text Chris when I saw him. He was a center, and he actually called a low kick penalty. You don't see it that often where people are actually calling low kick. It was just whatever. I appreciate that because you know what? I don't like getting kicked in the nuts.
No.
I don't like getting kicked in the hip.
Right.
I just think that, just go ahead and call it, even if it's a warrant, whatever the rule is, but still notice it because a lot of times people don't. And that's how a lot of people get hurt without really even knowing it.
That's how I ended up breaking my hand. Remember I had a broken hand?
Yeah.
When we were at Team Elite?
Yeah.
That happened. We were at a local tournament. This guy, and I'm a short guy. I'm usually, I'm prone to kick someone lower because I'm shorter. My legs are smaller.
Right.
But this guy kept kicking me. Shaw Austin was my head judge there. And I was complaining. I was like, Shaw, I'm getting killed here. He says, yeah, I understand. I have to see it. I said, yes. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. He did it again. He gave him his warning. So once again, if we had penalty, he gave him his warning. Listen, I'm paying for each one of those warnings every time.
Correct.
So I said, all right, I'm gonna tighten this guy up a little bit. And I went to go throw a ridge hand, and I was gonna hit him on the side of the head, but he turned his head, and I was gonna ridge hand him like this, and I didn't want to break all his teeth and nose and everything. So I moved it up, and I ended up breaking a bone in this hand, and which cost me 2 months of competition. I couldn't even, my hand was so hurt I could not even turn my car on after I could not do this motion to turn the car on. I had to learn how to write left hand. It was a mess,
So
absolutely.
Let's get back to that for a second. But I just want to say, Richard, no, I agree, man. I want to give a big shout out to Richard Osborne for what he's doing in sport karate every year, taking it to the next level. And also, people don't know this is a small town. Like it's not easy to get to his event. Like it's not like a place where you just fly to, and he's getting big turnouts and big national competitor and everyone there. And he's having the biggest tournaments in that state in years. So congratulations, man. After we just touched on that, was that maybe your worst injury from sport karate?
I would say yes, that was it, because it took me away from competition for a while. I cannot snap with his fingers till this day. Still have scar tissue in there.
Okay.
Probably so.
All right. See, I have a heart. I don't know. A lot of my stuff didn't happen in sport karate. Like it was just, like again, I've broken my nose 11 times, maybe half for sport karate.
Gosh.
Some were random things, but actually like the first time I broke my nose was not even like in sport karate, but then I went to a tournament 2 weeks or 3 weeks afterwards. And then I broke it back this way, and then next week broke it back the other. So it just kind of kept going, right? Those are kind of things. For me, it was more like my ankles were an issue, and a lot of that was from trying to learn how to do kicks and tricks on the trampoline. And I rolled it the first time on there, and then I kept competing on it, and it kept getting worse and worse. So that was kind of ankle problems were that. All right, this is a little graphic, but the worst thing that happened to me during a tournament was where I'm fighting at a local event, and really I was probably the favorite to win the overall grand for the fighting and stuff, and I'm winning I think 5-0, there's no time limit in these rules. And in a lot of tournaments in Virginia, there's no time limit. It's 1st to 7. Okay. So this could be the fastest fight ever or the
it could
longest
be
fight
a
ever.
grueling fight. Yes.
Yeah. So I think I'm up 5-0. I go for a side kick and I have my chamber up and I go and I'm about to hit this guy in the head. He goes underneath my leg and he hits me pretty much at my knee and drags it all the way to my other knee. It hits all the way underneath, that area. And I was pretty much done after that. I mean, I was black and blue for
that is
for a couple of weeks. It was the worst feeling ever. And I just remember like trying to fight after that, and it just wasn't the same.
No.
And it was one of those things where it's like, all right, like that should have been a penalty. That should, that really changed the fight for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it hard for me to pick my leg up, it also is in that thing like I don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, you got that in the mindset. Yeah.
Then you start fighting like a 70s and 80s fighter with your hand
down.
I still do that sometimes just because
you have to protect yourself. One of the things I always thought about, if you look at the United States as a whole on a map, Taekwondo is really prevalent in the east coast of the United States. A lot of high kickers and everything, and there's no groin kick.
Right.
Kempo out on the West Coast and Parker tournament and everything. And in Kempo, we know they got a whole kata dedicated to groin strikes.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you get belts for groin strikes in Kempo.
You do.
And so you see the difference in the split half of the United States. The biggest shock in my life, walking to a tournament in Texas, and Gerald leans to me and says, "Oh, by the way, since you're underbelt, you know that the groin is a legal target." Said,
yeah.
He said, not only that,
it's NASCAR rules, they can do their local
2
rules.
points.
Yeah.
What? Hold on. No. He says, yeah, sorry, you're an underbelt, so you got to deal with it. I'm like, no. I would go up before and say, hey, I'm not going to kick you low. Please don't kick me low. And usually it was a gentleman's agreement until someone broke that agreement, and then you had to retaliate.
Yeah, another one of my worst things was in El Paso one year, and I go against, and this is before there was a 10-point spread rule, and this is before there was a rule that if you got like 3 penalties, you just got DQ'd because that would be a thing. So every time I kick this guy in the head, he front kicks me in the nuts. And this happened like 9 times. I got 9 penalty points. But, like I won probably like 20 something to nothing or 1 or 2. But I'm just trying to finish the fight and just get out of there. And I'm just like kind of running away. I'm like, all right. It didn't feel like I won that fight. So.
No, you won, but you lost.
Right.
How was that from that what's her name's wife said in White Men Can't Jump? Sometimes you win, but you lose. Yeah, that's definitely one of those times.
So I mean, there's that type of things. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just used to front kicks, because again, there's circuits down there. We're still doing that. So I think finally now they're not, but there still are some. I went to a tournament where groin kicks were legal, but no contact. So you could actually do a 3-inch rule to the nuts to get a point. I'm like, wait, what?
And then you'd be mad about the point. That wasn't 3 inches. Like, we could have him kick closer. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's just the craziest stuff, and leave it to martial arts tournaments to give us these rules that are just weird, right?
Listen, the amount of weird that we see at tournaments, and this is why you get these good stories and this good. So everybody that's out there competing now, you'll get your stories. You'll get that. There's one that I remember, and you probably remember this too. We went down to the U.S. Open one year. We had the 3 teams for Team Elite. We're entering, and there were no point spreads back there. So I think this is one of the teams like Ibby was on. It was like 30 something to 4.
Right.
And there was still like another guy to come up. But we were sparring. I think if I remember right, this is another good New York story. This is a Jesse Jotty and Hector story. They had to fight firmly in control. So this is not about the fight. But they were fighting someone that was from, I don't remember, but I want to say South America. Anyway, so these guys are lined up, right? And there is one guy dressed. He's got his gear on. He's got his gloves on. And the other 2 guys are just in their gis, right? And they were like, all right, whatever. Just worry about the guy that's in front of you. So, first match happens. I know they had a huge point spread, and the guy walks back to the next guy to come up, and he takes his gloves off. He takes his headgear off, takes his footgear off. He reaches into his pants. He pulls out a groin cup, and he hands it to the guy. That guy takes it, puts it in his pants, and then he takes his mouthpiece off, and he sticks it right in that guy's mouth. So we're on the sidelines like, And I think whoever came up to that line was like, for real? This okay. And then with the second match was over, and the same process repeated itself, and everybody's just waiting because the mouthpiece was the last thing to kind of change hands, for lack of a better term. And everybody's just like, no.
Oh, this is bad.
That guy really legitimately ran anchor for the whole team in the worst way.
For real.
I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it myself. It was please can Century or somebody sponsor those guys for some equipment, please? I mean,
please,
at least give them all mouthpieces.
Oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah, so we've seen some wild things.
We have, man. So Mallory, all right. So we've had some fun just talking. I mean, we've already done an hour and 10 minutes. We haven't even got into all the other stuff, but let's do about 5 minutes. I want to go. I do want to touch on some things that you're doing outside of sport. You know, you're of course still doing your full-time job. You're working as well with sport martial arts. But over the past year, and really during the pandemic, you've been doing a lot with Robin Black. So just explain what's been going on with that, and how exciting that is for you too. So
one of the great things about 2020, and trust me, there were a handful of things that one could say 2020 was great, was so I'd known Robin for a while. So I have to send a shout out to Dean Barry, up-and-comer, still UFC signed Dean Barry. Robin was going to Ireland for something, and I told Dean, hey, please give him my number. I'd love to interview him. So Robin's, if you've never met him, go to Robin Black on Instagram, Robin Black on Facebook, Robin Black MMA, I think on YouTube. And Robin,
his Instagram is one of my favorites.
Oh, it's great. So if you always want to see great breakdown in fights, like why this technique happened, he just did a great breakdown for AJ McKee, who just won the belt from Bellator. And Robin does great breakdown. He's got an incredible insight in terms of knowing why this is the end result, this guy getting knocked out, but what happened to make that, and hear the steps that we took. So he actually works for TSN in Canada, which is really ESPN's version up in Canada.
Right.
But Robin calls me. We do an interview. It went very well. We're talking like over WhatsApp and sending text and everything. And then we were doing the thing with Raymond last year, the real deal with Raymond, which was really a lot of fun. And I asked what I was trying to do is I was trying to surprise Ray every week. I wouldn't tell him who the guest was going to be.
Right.
I would give him 4 videos and say, we're going to do 2 of these videos, but you don't know which one, just so you can try to remember what fights these were. And I brought Robin on, and we were breaking things down, and Ray was like, yeah, you even saw when I'm going to do this, and things like that. And after that show, Robin said, hey, any chance you'd like to do something? We're going to do this thing where we're showing the Bellator prelim fights, and we could be talking just like this over StreamYard, and we would pull in the prelim fights, and we'd have some guests. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm all up for it. I said, so who we're going to have first? He says, the first show, I think we're going to get Ray in, and Ray will be our anchor. And he says, I got a couple other guests. So pops in CM Punk. Pops in Chris Cyborg. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. All right, let me try to act cool. Stay cool. Like, try to act cool. When you ever try to act cool, you don't look cool because you try to act cool.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It was great to just sit there and talk martial arts with these guys while these fights are going on. We got a chance to see how he did the breakdowns. Mm-hmm. He actually got some information, the video in from the truck, and he wrote, he broke it down and showed us exactly how the bread was made. And this continued on for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year, which was great. Got a chance to even hang out with Chuck Liddell over last one over Christmas. And Chuck was incredibly fun to hang out with and talk to and everything. But that's been, what the martial arts is. You meet, great people, and you form these relationships with and everything. So he's a really cool guy. I really enjoy doing anything that, he'll bounce an idea off me like, hey, I'm going to be doing this. Oh, great. Do you need help with it? Yeah. Do this, that, and the other. Like if you haven't seen, he's now involved with Karate Combat.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a guy, Ross Levine, who'll be fighting in Karate Combat very, very soon. So you get to see Robin do some breakdowns and everything. But that was one of the best things about 2020, being able to do that.
Cool, man. Yeah, it was really cool to see you just evolve into that. Not only because I know, like, how to do all the behind the scenes stuff, right? And really, over this past 5 to 6 years, you've kind of stepped up to be a commentator, and someone that interviews people and things. And it's really cool just to see that. And again, it's kind of the same way with me, just doing this. Like, we just love this, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we have tons of stories, and you know what? It's time to share them, right?
It is always great, and thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. It's the funny thing is the way that actually came about when we would be training at Gerald School, and we're all waiting to get in the ring. The only two people aspiring and doing like first point wins or hot seat or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So as that was going on, I would just say, and there's Dawson pushing it with the sidekick. Oh, there's a great angle move right there. Did Tufts get it? Tufts scores. Excellent. And I think Emily asked me, hey, can you do this for the WKC? And I was like, all right, I think I can do it. And just kind of naturally flow and do it. And it also helps you in terms of being able to speak in front of a lot of people that, you know, we don't know how many people watch. We know some people watching, how many of it is, but it helps you enhance that part of, you know, really, which is a big intangible skill to have, no matter what you're doing.
It does. It's huge. I know for me, when I just started doing my live videos every morning, that helped me so much as a speaker and even as a teacher in the school.
Yes.
I started talking better to my students and getting them. I noticed the classes were getting better. Talking to them after was getting better just because you're getting practice, right? You don't have to be perfect. Not worrying about all just get out there and do it. And again, man, one of the things that Alex and I talked about so much was how you and Ray did at US Open this year. Congratulations on that, because that was one of the best things that we have seen in a while. Just the way you guys fed off each other, the way he just broke things down, but you led it in a way, you know, that it needed to be led. So it was awesome.
Thank you. And you know, is having the chemistry with, you know, not only that and Jackson as well. Jackson is just like,
oh yeah,
an encyclopedia of martial arts knowledge, but you can play off of each other. And just like from doing that stuff with Raymond last year, I knew like he was going to be able to see this and set up. So my job is just to set the table, and he takes all of his experience in and boom, just sits right there. And really it's just, it almost is just like there's no pressure whatsoever. It's just like we're just watching this fight just like everybody else is, and we're given the who and the why and everything there. And that's the fun part about that for me. Knowing, you know, and doing that stuff and everything, it's really fun. It's 100% great to do that. By the way, just a quick interjection. This is probably not going to show up, but Jesse sent me a picture from that fight that we were talking about with the guys passing the mouthpiece back. He actually sent me a picture. I will have to send this to you.
Yeah, I gotta see this.
It's crazy, but thank you. And it's for me. It's, you know, this is something, if you are involved in tournament sports karate, you're passionate about kata, weapons, sparring, the whole thing, the learning, the training with people, the building yourself as a better martial artist, and you're passionate about it. Right. So when you contacted me tonight, I just said, just tell me what we're talking about. I'm going, no prep needed. Let's just go. It's exactly. Because you're passionate about it. And there's a lot of inside baseball that we talk about, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a great story. I love hearing it, you know? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and there's so much more. I mean, we could have gone, I mean, we can do this more. I want to have you on again just because this is just fun. Like, this is just us talking, hanging out. I mean, and we have so many, we didn't even hit on the actual longevity of Team Elite and all the fun stuff. It was more of like just that first event and then maybe that first year. And there's so much more. And I hope that we can get something going soon. I'm going to try my best to get to Diamonds. I know that, I mean, there's just so much right now. Who knows? Uncertainty.
I'm going to have lunch with Spencer. I think maybe this Sunday, because I've been going up to Cam's school to train. So I'm going to go have lunch with them, and I'm going to definitely talk to him about that. And just like any other good show, you have to leave it with a tease.
Yes.
Like, for example, I'll set the table. We had before mentioned this cruise that we went on.
Yes.
So they have these talent shows in this cruise. So for example, people will come on, they'll play piano, they'll tap dance and everything. And it's really put on by everybody that's on the cruise. So your mom, Robin Doss, said, hey, we want you guys to do a demonstration for the cruise. And we're like, all the fighters are like, this is on you form, guys. Hey, John Sue, Jeff, Mike Garelli, this is your time to shine.
Yeah.
Okay, Corinne, boom, you guys shine. So we can do our basic stuff and everything, but we're not going to go out there and spar. We like let the guys that are experts at do this. So we go out there and we're looking for a place to practice. The cruise ship is only so big, and Jeff knows where the story is going.
Yes.
So we're like, how old were you at the time?
17.
17. Okay, so just 17. And I wanted somebody to say, hey, we found a great place to practice. It's empty and everything. I said, great, we'll get everybody together. Where is it? It's the topless deck. It's the what now? It's the topless deck. But that's the only place we can train. So there is definitely a story there how we went up on a topless deck on a cruise ship so we can get this routine together.
Oh,
and
man.
How that was weird at first and everything.
And I had that video too, and I have to upload it somehow.
There's video? No, there's video of the performance.
There's video of the performance, not of that. No, not the
I was going to say, wait a minute, hold on. This is a whole new show now.
Video of the performance.
Oh,
man, this has been great, Mallory.
But hey, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Thank you, Alex, for having only 1K up. So you couldn't do this. I was glad to temporarily warm the chair. Appreciate it.
We'll have to have you on with Alex as well sometime soon. So
I will be more than happy. Just let me know, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mallory. And guys, keep checking out the karate right now. They're almost finishing the eliminations for it. So thank you to Virtual Fight Tour. Again, check them out at the Amerikick Internationals. And guys, this has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Jeff Doss.
I'm Mallory Woods.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.